Hello.
We are on 71.
Mhm.
Ayin Aleph. Actually, Ayin Amid Bay is the bottom. Mishnah. Boileshes sheniknas le'ir. You have a army battalion, a non-Jewish army battalion enters into a city. Bishas shalom, when there's no war. Chavios psuchos asuros, any open barrels of wine would be prohibited. Stumos mutaros, if they're sealed, they're not going to take the trouble to open it up. Bishas milchama, war, elu ve'elu mutaros, they're both permitted. Lefi she'ein pnai l'nasech, they don't have time to do the nisach hayayin even for the open barrels. V'reminu, we ask a kasha, ir shekavshu karkom, a army laid siege to a city. So, and then they conquer it. Kol kohana shebesach psulos. Any female, wives of kohanim will be puzzled to marry, go back to their husbands because we assume they'll all be raped. So, Amrav Mary Lenasech and Penai. So, we said before that an army is not going to take the time to do Nisach Hayayin. So that they don't have a Yetzer Hara for, but Livol Yesh Penai. But the Yetzer Hara for Be'ila is strong. So therefore, the Kohanos are puzzled. Mishnah. Ha'umnin shel Yisrael. You have blood letters, Jewish blood letters. And they did the job, they bloodlet a goy, shesholchem goy chavish liyaines b'soran. And they were paid with a barrel of yain nesach. Mutar, they can say, lomar, tein lanos damea. Give me the value of its money. But once they accepted it into the Rishus Moser, then you can't get money for it because it's like selling your yain nesach. Before it gets into your position, you can say change it for money. Rav mutar go and try to appease the tax collectors and pay them off with yain that you own, but I'll pay you back. So the question is, why isn't that using yain nesach for anah? The halach is you can't. Meisvei. Al yomarim lagoy ol tachti la'oitzer. Pay for me to the government my taxes with your yain nesach. I'll pay you back the money, but you're not allowed to do it because it's yain nesach. So this is a stira to the statement of Rav. Amalei Rav ol tachti la'oitzer ka'amrit. You ask me a kasha from there. Haloidamya eloha aval oimerlo. You can say to a goy, maltainim in a oitzer. Get me off the hook from paying the taxes. But you're not allowed to tell the goy to go directly to pay him off with the yain nesach. That you can't do. Mishnah. You sell wine, and a non-Jew comes into your store to buy wine. In Pasuk, now you're discussing price. $10 a liter. Ad shalomoda, and you do it before you measure out into his kalim that amount of the yayin, and then he paid. If you come up with the price before you measure it up, then you sold them. You didn't sell them yain nesach. You sold them your wine, dam of mutarin. It's not as if you sold yain nesach. But modad, they used to come into the wine store, they would bring their own pots full of wine, and then you would measure some into there. So once it's in there, it's yain nesach. And if you put it in there and then you came up with the price, achlo pasak, dam of asur, then you can't collect money for it because basically you sold him yain nesach. When a goy takes an object from you, it's a kinyan, and the kinyan is completed and it belongs to the goy. Teda. These Persians, they exchange gifts, they don't return them. Mashma, they're koine it when they do Mashiach. There's no proof. Maybe Mashiach B'goy is not koine. The fact that the Persians don't give it back to each other, it's they're haughty. It's not to go back. It's like being an Indian giver. And how does I know that Mashiach is that it doesn't work? Is not koine b'goy. Rav told these wine sellers, Ki kailu suchamra, when you measure out wine legoyim, shaklu zuzi minai v'hadrikalim. First take the money, then measure it. Vilo nakitu b'dai, if you haven't taken the money, was fine of shkilu, then do some kind of loan. Loan them money and then take it back from them. So it would be a loan that they have to pay you back, and not that they bought yain nesach. If you don't do that, and you let them measure first, you have the yain nesach in your rishus. When you take money, you're being paid for yain nesach. But if Mashiach by Goy is koina, mida mashcha, from the moment the Goy was moishech yain, Goy kanya, but he might not have touched the wine, yain nesach lava denogale. So maybe you should be able to accept the money right away. Must be that Mashiach b'goy is not koina. So the Gemara says, Idiko kail v'rama lamana. If the owner of the Jew poured the wine into his if it was poured into a Jewish kli, hachanami, lo tzricha, but then it would work like you said. But lo tzricha de kakav rami lamana of a goy. You're pouring the wine into the kli of a goy, which already has some yain in there, which is yain nesach. And basically, it becomes yain nesach as a mixture before he was even koine it. However, soif kimat lavir de monakanya. Once it enters the airspace of the vessel, he's koine it. But yain nesach lava demati larasa demana. But until it actually lands in the bottom of the kli and it mixes with the other wine, it's not yain nesach. Well, if you're telling me that it's yain nesach when it's still in the airspace, shmami no nitzik chibur, that like a flow of fluid from above to below connects it, versus low. We don't hold that nitzuk is chibur. If the goy is holding on to the kli, then yes, the kinyan will be before, and the money will be permitted. Lo tzricha de monachar. We're talking about the kli is on the ground. So there was no kinyan before it became asur. V'tikni le'kelav. Why don't we say that just like a chotzer is koina for a person, this kelim will be koina once it's in the airspace of the kli. If we don't say that, shema mina, kelev shalokech b'shus machal lokech. That if a buyer brings in kelim to the rishus of the seller, his kli is not koina it because it's not his rishus. But this question was always mesupik to the chachamim. So maybe we've answered it here. The Gemara says low. Really, the kli in the Rishus of a Moicher is Lokech. Achmaiskinon, here the wine became prohibited before. There was a little bit of wine on the top of the entrance of the kli, the kama kama insechle. As they're pouring it, it's mixing with that yain. All becomes yain nesach. Keman the lo Rav Shimon Gamliel. Rav Shimon Gamliel, ha'omar. He said that if you mix yain nesach with regular wine, you can sell it, except you have to deduct the value of the yain nesach and take it to the Yam HaMelech. Right? Which you dump away. Midi utaima el Rav, Rav, Allah Rav Shimon Gamliel, only bechavis. That he only said that permit when you mixed a barrel with a barrel. Avalo yain behind, but then it's all osir, and including its money. Meisfei. Haloikech grutos benagoyim. You buy pieces of silver from goyim. Umatza ben Avodah Zara. You find on one of the pieces of silver a picture of Avodah Zara. Imachli nosan mois. You haven't given money yet. Moshach, but you did Mashicha Yachzir. You can give it back to him. Because the Mashicha loan was not a kinyan, without money. Imishnosan mos Moshach. If you paid and did Mashicha, then Yolich, you have no choice. It belongs to you and you got to get rid of it. Now, Isaac that Mashicha begoy koine. But if you're going to tell me, like a Maimar said, that a goy can acquire through Mashicha, Amai Yachzir, why should he have to return it? It's his. Amar Abaya. It looks like a mekach tos because he wouldn't directly buy an Avodah Zara. Amar Rava, then how come in the second case where you gave money, you can't give it back? Reisha mekach tos, sefer lav mekach tos? Amar Rava, Reisha of this sefer mekach tos. They're both mekach tos. So how came the Reisha shelo yav zuzi? He didn't pay money. So lo mischazik Avodah Zara b'yad Yisrael doesn't look like a Jew bought an Avodah Zara. Sefer the yav zuzi mischazik Avodah Zara b'yad Yisrael, and you have to destroy it because of Marsai. Amalei Markshisha Braid Rav Kizel Ravashi Toshma Hamoicha Yena Lenochri. Person sells wine. Pasak Achlomadad. If you set up a price before you measured the wine into his kli, Damav Mutarim, because he bought yayin that belonged to him without the goy touching it. He amrit Mashicha begoy nekoine. But if you tell me that a goy doesn't acquire Mashicha, amai Davav Mutarim, it shouldn't be mutter. Achmaiskinan da agdim le dinner. He already paid him $1 before the measurement, and therefore it was koine bekesef without the Mashicha. If he did the measurement before they set a price, dama vasurim. But either cut him late dinner if he already paid money on my dama vasurim, he paid. Or malay, you say that a goy acquires by Mashicha, on my resha, dam of mutarin. Then why should the money be permitted in the resha? The sefer dam of vasurin, why would it be two different cases? That posak, if they set a price, some chidaiti relies on it, and that the sale is not going to go be annulled, and therefore the mechira is nigmar b'mashicha. But loy posak, if they didn't set a price, lo sam chidaita. He doesn't have a soymich das that it's going to conclude the deal. And lididi nami avagav the kodem dinner. Even he paid him some money before. It depends. Im posak som chidaiti, lo posak lo sam chidaiti. He doesn't rely that the deal is going to close unless there was a set price. Amar Ravina Ravashi, Toshma. Amar Chebrav Rav Yechna. Benoyach nera agzela pachos mishava pruta. One of the mitzvahs Bnei Noach is if a Ben Noach steals, he kills. Even if he steals less than he's killed, even if it's less than shava pruta. Now, yet if he steals less than a pruta from a Jew, lo nitin lishavam, he doesn't have to return it because for Yisrael, he's not makpid for something less than a shava pruta. Now, if when a goy is moishachet, he doesn't acquire it at my nera. What did he physically do to this thing that he stole? It's not his. If you say Mashicha is not coined it for him. So Mishum Ditzar is Yisrael because he bothered the Jew when he took it. He took his money and he's mitzaref. Even though through the kinyon he's not doesn't acquire it. Okay. Tomorrow, 4:00.
Okay.
Tomorrow, 4:00.
And Ernie, you're coming to Minyan or no?
I'm not. There's a bar mitzvah that I'm going to.
Okay, Mazel Tov. Enjoy.
Okay.
Okay.